I'm Jackson Malone with the esteemed honor and pleasure of sitting in for our co-host and moderator, Miss Ptosha with the P. Davis, and the expressions of libation in which you've just heard were that of one of Milwaukee's own keepers of the culture and protectors of our heritage, a veteran soldier of the struggle, and everybody's brother, Brother Oshiami Adelabu. And for those listening who may not be familiar, we begin each show with libation as a ritual of heritage to honor and please the Creator, the lesser divinities, our sacred ancestors, humans present and not present, as well as the environment. Now, our purpose for this is to promote knowledge of and respect for our elders and the ancestors, hope in healing, unity and harmony. To confirm to the ancestors and the elders that we love them, we honor them, we respect them, we cherish the paths that they have paved before us. And with that, we give confirmation of our sincerities, our admirations, our trust, faith, and belief in that whom they were, and that which they have lived, struggled, and some even died for. By calling on them, the elders and the ancestors, not to oversee, but to watch over our doings, and to work in unison with us in spirit as we work together within the environment here on Earth. Now, in the studio with me, I'm grateful to be joined by Miss Bria Grant. Good afternoon, Bria.
Good afternoon, Keon. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you. And videographer extraordinaire, Tony Cash.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, we're going to try to get Mr. Tony to the mic. Rahim is fixed on it. And without any further groove, let's bring him on to the microphone. The man of many motions, the head hand with the plan, the help cat on the attack, my main man, Mr. Rahim Islam. What's going on, Rahim?
Hey, my brother.
How you feeling today?
I'm telling you, I'm gonna take you with me everywhere.
I'm ready to go.
It's like, you set me up.
Energy.
Yeah.
Energy for the new year.
Ready to go.
Yeah. All I need now is my own theme music.
Oh, we got that. Don't you worry about it.
In addition to show me the way.
Yeah.
Now, I was listening to the, I always get something different out of the libation. Mm-hmm. And I was listening earlier to Oshi. And he mentioned something, and I wrote the word down. And historically, we fought. Mm-hmm. And he said, until we're fighting today, but I don't think we are fighting today.
No.
I don't think right now we can point to anywhere we're defending the black community. Mm-hmm. I don't think we can point anywhere where, and if we can point anywhere, we can't really point and with any measure and degree of success that we can say that, this is working. Mm-hmm. And so, unfortunately, we've lost something in the process.
Yes.
Something is missing. And so, two things I think that the libation allows us to do is, one, is to reflect on what it is we're doing. And we are in a struggle. These great people, these great individuals, and this fighting that he mentions wasn't fighting in some vacuum. It was fighting because we were in a struggle.
Exactly.
We were in a major struggle. And that struggle continues. Yeah. The oppression that we are fighting, which we don't have any, it's not like we picked this fight.
Exactly.
We didn't choose to have this fight. We just getting whipped on and beat on and mm-hmm. abused and oppressed everywhere you look at. And so we inherit this situation, so we should inherit the fight. And so the fight has to look differently today than it did 60 years ago.
Exactly.
But let alone a fight needs to take place.
Exactly.
And so, my whole thing is about we cannot fight the fight that we've waged, or the war that we've waged, or the campaign that we've waged to defend the black community. It has to look differently. Mm-hmm. And the single most thing that it must look like today is it must be much more unified. Mm-hmm. And so I said, and when we was talking about the principles of Kwanzaa, And I said the first principle that when we start talking about working together, I am one with you. You know, I alone cannot change the world, but I can. Together, we can do a mighty and great things together. Now, what does together look like? Many people think that together is we're some mystical way that we're all, you know, doing the same thing at the same time. Like all 250,000 black Milwaukee's are going to come together and be this unified force. Yeah. It ain't going to happen. If we waiting for that, that's like waiting for Jesus to come and return. It's going to lead us to the promised land. It ain't going to happen. I mean, it's just, if it happens, it's, you know, God willing. But if we're waiting for that, come on, that's just that's not going to change the lifestyle of too many African Americans today. That's not going to change the oppression. Mm-hmm. So that mindset of waiting for someone to do for us what we must do for ourselves is a flawed concept. And I hate to put Jesus into the concept, but I think too many of us are waiting for this Messiah, this one entity is going to change our lifestyles, when in reality, if he came today, he would demand that we change our lifestyles. He would demand some work on our part. So the thought that this was going to be this massive movement has never happened and will never happen in the history of humanity. So what does it look like? What does it look like? It looks like a few strong people who has the consciousness of and the heart and the fight of our ancestors, who are coming together and translating that into the 21st century battle. Yeah. And so they're working together on behalf of the 250,000 black people in Milwaukee. And they're sacrificing. And they're coming together. And who are those people? They are quote unquote leaders. Because look at the human body. The human body has a number of different components to it. But the one that drives it is its head. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's the leadership of the body. Of the human body is the head. So it has a significance to its body, and it's called the head for a number of different reasons. Head meaning translated into leadership. So our leadership has to first come together in some kind of way in order for it to help our people. And the leadership has failed our community. So it doesn't also have to have all the leaders. And I want to dispel who the leaders are. First and foremost, the leaders must be the private citizens. Not the elected officials, not the clergy, who we first think of when we think about black leadership. We say, well, we're going to talk about Pastor so-and-so, I'm going to talk about Reverend so, I'm going to talk about this alderman or this. No. You got to start thinking about black business people. That's who lead this country in a capitalist society. If we were a socialist society, maybe. If we were a communist society, maybe. If we were a society that was ruled by a religious doctrine, maybe. But we live in America in a capitalist society. If you ask the Irish people, you ask the Italian people, you ask the Jewish people, you ask any other ethnic group, who are your leaders? And 9 times out of 10, politicians don't even make the list. Dude. We sure don't know who the daggone the clergy in the white community. Yeah. Do you know them?
Not at all. Not at all.
Do you know them, Bria?
Micah is the organization here, and it has
for the white. They represent the white people.
Some of them. But I understand your point. No,
No, well,
I understand your point.
Get with me then. No. I mean, they don't represent the. You don't know when I meant, for example, if that's an organization.
I get what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, like, for example, I'm talking about individuals. When you say, for example, who are the clergy? I don't know them. Now you might know them but I'll take cities where I do know the clergy, and the clergy is not out front.
Right.
He's a player on the other side.
Please, they don't even think about them.
But when you think of the business community and being leaders, because we are economically driven, doesn't that sometimes go against their own self-interest? If I'm looking out for the people, I might cut myself short. I might not be able to, make the profits that I need because I become so conscious about the needs of the people.
No, it's not about that. It's about basically what group has the capacity to lead a movement. All right? What group has a capacity? For example, what group has, and when you look at the segments of our community, the 250,000 black people, they're different segments. Who are the leaders? All right, well, that's what we're talking about. That group has the head has the first chance of leading this effort. All right? We got to now distinguish between, within that group, the different groups within that group. Like we first say, the elected officials, we think that they are the leaders. But in the other community, they're told what to do.
That's what I was going to say. Do you mean puppeteers?
Yeah. Well, I don't even mean it in any. I don't mean it in any negative way. Meaning that they are responding to the business people who give them an agenda to follow.
The financiers.
Whatever.
Okay.
But the point I'm making is not. You don't know who the rabbi is.
Gotcha.
You don't know the bishop in the Catholic Church. You don't see these people only on certain occasions. You see them. So they don't lead those communities in that respect. What they do is they stay in their lane. And they're in a religious and spiritual lane. They're not the leaders in the movement of changing or dealing with the oppression or righting the wrongs in the community as a group. The ones who lead in those groups are the business community. But here's the point I'm making. I was trying to dispel what it's going to look like success looks like. Mm-hmm. And success is not going to look like what we think it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. Success for us, the fight, we're not going to get 250,000 people in one room to say, enough is enough. We're not going to take it. Everybody going to get assignments and everybody going to move out on their assignments and we're going to come back next week and see how we done and we're going to get this thing going. It ain't going to work like that. Mm-hmm. How it's going to look is we're going to change the paradigm of looking to who are the leaders. We're going to have to organize our business community, organize our leaders, and all of them won't be on board because some of them might have the position you just talked about. Says, well, if I do this, I might get exposed. I might take a risk on. I don't want to expose myself. If I speak out, I might have a government contract. I might, offend somebody. I don't want to do that. Whatever. We don't need everybody. We just need a critical mass of people, leaders who are going to work together and figure this thing out. That is the struggle for us today. That's going to be the fight for us today.
We have a caller on the line, Rahim. They want to get in this conversation. That's good.
I don't know what conversation we've been having, but go ahead.
It's about to be one.
Go ahead, caller. You are on with Rahim Islam.
I was just still talking about the libation.
You know what? I guess I shouldn't even call you.
No, my brother, I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
No, just Jimmy Johnson. You're stating my religion, politician. A politician. You already know them are two things you never agree upon. I mean, from history, because I listen to you every day, I read your column. But then again, you're stating in Milwaukee, not the state of Wisconsin. You're asking about who are the leaders. Do they call in? Do they go to here, they go there? They're not risk takers because, like you stated, they're scared because of what it might cost them, what they might miss upon, or who they have to answer to. And I'm just going to give another prime example. And I'm stating this just because I was born and raised here, besides when I went to the military. American Black Holocaust Museum, right there on 4th and North Avenue. I know for a fact, I could name them 10, 20 times, there are at least 100 black professional men that it's inexcusable for it to be closed. And my last comment is, the most amazing thing that I have seen since I've been here in the last 5 years, I've been here all my life, there are 500 black men and boys. Downtown, I give accolades to Andre Lee Ellis. It was positive. I mean, and people looked at that, but how much media exposure did we get? Not much. Channel 4 News click, and that's about it. Like I say, 2016, people...
Leadership that has not been able to understand its value. And as a result, it starts to go down. But my general belief is that the majority of us see that and want to do something about it.
Exactly.
The majority of us are not, as you described, Bria, earlier, worried about the consequences for doing what is right. They just don't know how to get moving. Mm-hmm. It reminds you of your brain not operating functionally, properly. And you see that you want to pick up that glass of water, but your brain has not sent a signal to your arm to pick it up. Because we don't have a central thinking, a central mind, a central focus where we call that leadership. Now, unfortunately, the world many times doesn't have that degree of leadership either. But it can survive when it's on top of the food chain. When you're on the bottom of the food chain, you have no other choice but to work together. And we have been unable to do that. So my belief is that with the right messaging and the right spirit and the right energy, we can attract those silent majority to come out of their comfort zones, to sit and discuss and to strategize on how we deal with these issues. One, how do we grow our business community? How do we deal with our education in our community? How do we deal with the senseless violence that's taking place in our neighborhoods? How do we deal with preserving our institutions in our neighborhood, in our community, that are not only preserving the historical aspects of our lives, but they're telling the story and they're contributing to the pride that we must have in order for us to function in a society that's telling us we're nothing. At every point of the day, every day of the week, and every week of the year, we're constantly being bombarded with negative messages about who we are. So we need these things to happen. So the Andre Ellis situation, the 500, is important. We have to have 500 every week, because we have to counter and contrast the negative messages that are taking place. So if we don't have that central thinking, it's impossible. So the question is, well, who's going to do it? How is it going to get done? So we're going to launch very shortly the Milwaukee Community of Leaders. And unless somebody has another way, I'm down with it. But the bottom line is that until we can get that mind to send that bolt of energy to the arm to pick up that glass, and that glass in this situation is to deal with the poor public education. That glass in this situation is deal with the violence that's taking place in our community. That glass in this situation is how do we create jobs in our own community. Well, guess what? Until we figure it out, till we fix that brain, we will never have to be able to deal with these issues, and they will be just issues.
Well, let me ask you. So on my mind, is the leadership designed? Is the leadership decided? Is the leadership chosen? Or is the leadership born? You know, you remember the old accolade, some came, some were sent, and some packed up their bags and went. So how is the leadership formulated? I mean, and I hear you talk about a group. I really find it, I would love to see it happen where a group becomes the leader,
the voice.
The voice.
Here's how I define leadership. And I would say out of the 250,000 black people in Milwaukee, we might have 2,000 leaders.
Understood.
Okay? So that's like a Frankenstein.
Dig it.
All right, so having 2,000 leaders is like having no leadership at all.
Exactly.
So how I define leaders? I define leaders as anyone whose actions impact more than just themselves, whose job or responsibility or whose title or whose goes to work every day working on the issues that impact us. They are leaders. So, for example, if you're working in the area of the criminal justice system and you're trying to fix the criminal justice system, you could be a district attorney, you could be assistant attorney, you could be just, a person, a prison guard. And say, look, I see what's going on. So what I did, I started this little group over here to try to help those re-enter back into the community. It runs the gamut. I call them leaders. Now, the problem is that prison guard who now created this program outside of his job to help re-entry, help black men re-enter and not increase the recidivism rate, unfortunately, he's working by himself. He has to work aligned in conjunction with other leaders who are also have some impact on that prison system.
Understood.
So everybody involved in that are leaders. Now, so they're not just elected officials. You know, what I see, the work that you guys do, you, Keon, and Tony, you're leaders. The sphere of group people that come around you are doing identical work, are leaders. The work I see Bria doing on a daily basis is leadership, trying to help our community, trying to figure out things to do to try to help, just not stagnant, just trying to do something. All those constitute as leaders. And there's one group of people that I will call leaders that don't want to be called leaders. And those are the people who are financially wealthy in our community. I remember Barkley saying, no, I'm not no leader. Well, how can you...
Yeah, role model.
No, role model, yeah. Well, yeah, the same thing. Well, how can you say you're not a role model when thousands and thousands of our youth are looking up to you? If you told them to go left, they would go left. You told them to go right, they would go right. You have the power to guide them, to lead them to somewhere where it's beneficial for them. And they might go with places where they don't want to go, but it's in their best interest because you told them. So leadership is in different places, and what we got to do is corral that leadership, that thinking, those type of people that are out here on the day-to-day, on the front line, trying to help our community to get some synergy, so that synergy can be much more effective. Because as the first principle of Kwanzaa, Umoja, it says that Umoja is unity. Our survival and our success is dependent on our ability to establish functional unity. Our power is in our unity of family, community, and race. Well, the unity can only be translated through the unity of mind, to thinking. Your human body is unified, but let your mind stop working and your arms just start doing this and your legs just start doing this. You would look like some kind of crazy person. But because you can walk and talk and you can do things, normal things that all the other normal people can do, is because your mind is in check. Your brain is in check. And so what we have to have unity of thought. And we have to break the cycle of disunity and disconnection, which is evident in every aspect of today's black community. So where our fight, brothers and sisters, is in organizing our leaders. That's where our fight is. First. Then we'll start working on the arms and the legs and the feet and the toes and the heart and the other organs. But we gotta have that brain together first. And that's what we're working with the Milwaukee community of leaders. That's the goal, is to organize a critical mass of black leaders who can think as one. That's the game plan.
And you know, that's exciting. When I was listening to you, though, I kind of, what flashed into my mind when we were talking about and describing leadership, specifically with the Charles Barkley example, is that some people are just influential, and there's a difference with a person that is a leader.
Yeah.
You lead. You have a following, a group of people that you speak on behalf of, and then there are people that are influential. I know somebody that can get this done, and so we need to organize all of those individuals. I think sometimes people shy away from the leadership term. We count them in.
I count them in as I said again. I count them as part of the leadership. Anybody who has any resources, anything benefit to add, they got to be part. And you got to understand, there are a lot of people, in fact, most of the people in our community are in need. All right? This population can give. And that group, it has to be assembled and aligned as best as possible. And again, we're not going to get everybody. Of the 2,000, we get 10%.
That's great.
We're going to see differences you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. We get 20%, it's over.
That's right. That's the fear. That's the fear right there.
That's the game plan.
If those black people get a fifth of their population organized, it's over.
Well, and I tell you, it's achievable, but it's never been approached like this. It's achievable. It's definitely achievable, but it's never really been approached like this because we've been bamboozled to believe, and we've been hoodwinked to believe that this help is going to come in some kind of massive movement that's going to, like some swarm of bees, is going to overtake our problems overnight. No, we're going to have to build institutions that's going to last for generations to undo what generations has done to us.
Right.
And this can't be done through any way except through us having the ability to understand that we take from our past, we work for the future, and we work for the present, and we build for our future.
I like that. We are going to take a break right there.
Yeah.
You are listening to Rahim Islam with Universally Speaking on WNOV 860 The Voice. Feel free to join us when we come back on the break. You can call in 444-5250. Stay tuned.
Welsing, who was an Afrocentrist psychiatrist, who with her 1970 essay, The Crest Theory of Color, Confrontation, and Racism, White Supremacy, offered her interpretation on the origins of white supremacy culture in Washington, D.C. She was the author of the ISIS Papers and The Keys to the Colors. We recently lost her on Saturday. She's been elevated into our ancestral. She's become an ancestor now. She's been elevated to that status now. We haven't lost her, but she's with us in spirit.
And, you know, listening to her, it just made me reflect on something I heard Dr. Umar Johnson state, and he talked about the simplicity in being able to eliminate a race, right? And that is the white race. And let me first say, just because we are pro-black does not mean that we are anti-white.
No.
You know, I love my European brothers and sisters that support me in my cause, in my community, and who have assisted in areas that they can assist in. But Dr. Umar Johnson stated that the threat of a black man is because all he has to do is have a baby. Yeah. And that white race, that white lineage it ceases right there.
Yes.
And when I thought about that, I'm like, that is powerful. That's some powerful stuff.
Exactly.
You kill a whole just a whole lineage of people, a whole heritage, a whole group with one black man and his seed.
Well, he has to impregnate the white woman.
Well, yeah, he had to impregnate, right? But that was the fear, right?
Yeah.
That if you impregnate our white women, that you kill us off.
Well, you know what? But that
ain't
well, none of that.
What?
Was that when they
made with our women, they kill themselves.
That too.
Well,
It goes
here's what
vice
I do.
versa.
I don't spend a lot of time. There are a lot of people who spend a lot of time with, these theories. And here's the thing that I think that and I've listened to a number of different people who go around the country articulating how bad our problems are. And it really, if they offer solutions, the solutions are so far-fetched. Like, until we start trusting each other. Well, guess what? If we're going to wait until we start trusting each other, then guess what? We're not going to get nothing done. All right? Or until we all just believe certain thing. Well, how do we communicate to everybody? Then how do we get everybody to believe and by that time, 2 generations done passed, and the problems will be much
worse.
That everybody talks about the problems, but they very rarely talk about the solution.
That's true.
And so, one of the things that the solution that I would argue and would agree with, and I'm not knocking them because there's some merit in the things that they're saying. We have to understand white supremacy, but you cannot understand white supremacy if you don't know anything. If you haven't studied anything, you haven't picked up any books, you don't know our history, it's impossible for you to understand. You don't even know what they've done to our ancestors. You don't even know anything, so how can you even value white supremacy? When your language predominantly promotes white supremacy, when your education promotes white supremacy, 9 times out of 10 your religion promotes white supremacy, your media promotes white supremacy, your television promotes white supremacy, everything. So in order for you to defeat white supremacy, you have to know it. If you do not know it, then you adopt it, and when you adopt white supremacy for a black person, you're adopting black inferiority.
We have a caller. Caller, go ahead. You are on.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. You're saying that the way you're describing right now is that it's doom, doom, doom. All you have to do is listen to what our Father has been telling us through the Bible. Read the Bible and get understanding, therefore you have wisdom. There's nothing we can do against this so-called white man. He had a 400 or 500 year advantage over us. What we must do is trust in our Father and have faith.
Well, I tell you one
all
thing.
the things that you're talking about, first of all, you don't even know who you are. You calling ourselves African Americans. We ain't no African Americans.
Well, who are we?
We are the 12th tribe of Israel. God is our Father. And pray to Him and read the Bible so we can get an understanding. Right now, we are under a curse. And this curse is because
You ain't joking. You ain't joking. I agree with you, sister.
No, I'm not a sister. I'm a brother.
Oh, brother, I'm
And
sorry.
what I'm saying is this.
I'm sorry.
Read the Bible and get an understanding.
Well, we sure are cursed.
Well, I think
Yes. Until we must have patience.
But I don't agree with you. I'm being facetious.
No. All you got to do is read the Bible and get
And
an
that's it?
understanding.
So I got to read the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because with that
Bring
Bible,
those Bibles out,
we gonna
brothers and
get
sisters.
where our big brother Christ is going to come and get us.
Thank you
Now,
so
we
much.
must have patience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your call, caller. And before I go into the reading, I just want to respond to that because personally, I'm a believer. Personally. But I understand that not everybody is a believer. Not everybody believes in the Bible. People have their different, their different religions, their different practices. And so because of that, it does kind of cause some issue and some division amongst our own. But I think that this article, Rahim, message the black community, we can no longer remain silent. Terror is Terror Part 3. If you're online, visit us at www.MilwaukeeCourierOnline.com or pick up a paper anywhere. And this article really kind of points out something as a believer that kind of disturbed me a little bit because we get a little protective of our gods and our beliefs. But the reality of truth cannot be denied. And if we are going to live in truth, which what I practice teaches, then we have to have an open mind when it comes to certain information. And so this article starts off, written by Rahim. The association of terrorism with Islam is an old dirty trick to glorify white supremacy and the religion of Christianity. Two very important points I would like to make in writing this article. One, we need to expand the concepts of terrorism and terrorists. Two, we need to stop making the association with terrorist acts and religion. White America doesn't have the moral right to spew such nonsense, given that they are far from unblemished. I know Donald Trump is only one person, but he represents the prototypical white male image, and the fact that he continues leading in the polls means he's representing a significant number of people who think and feel the same way he does. White America, from the far left to the far right, all of them benefits from the highest level of white privilege, with the most significant outcome of privilege being the worst form of amnesia. I consider selective amnesia as another form of racism. Did Donald Trump and white America forget about the Native American Holocaust and annihilation of nearly 100 million Indians? Did Donald Trump and white America forget about the Black Holocaust and the absolute terror that heaped on the Black community by America, by so-called God-fearing, God-loving American Christians? I would love to hear any white person call those Christians terrorists. Like those who deny the existence of the Jewish Holocaust, it's time for the white community to stop denying the existence and impact of their ancestors' acts against our ancestors and begin to recognize and accept the massive benefit and privilege these acts have afforded them. Even though white slave owners and the barbaric criminal and terroristic chattel enslavement of blacks that lasted over 300 years no longer exists, they must be placed in a forefront because America's greatness is not in the past but lies in the future. The most lucrative American institution was the enslavement of black people, and it represents one of the saddest commentaries on man's terrorism to men in modern history.
Well, I mean, the brother who called, I didn't want to be flippant with him, but I don't believe, that any of the books, the way they're the answer to all of our issues. I think they give us guidance, but I just cannot personally follow because my faith challenges my intellect, and God gave us both. And my intellect tells me that yes, I put a certain amount of stock in my past, a certain amount of stock in my present, and a certain amount of stock in my future. So that's how I live my life, and so if anything is contrary to that, I reconcile that with that. And so there's only so much weight I'm going to put in the past with anything, whether it's reading something that somebody said they said, or somebody relying on what somebody said they did, or even what people are saying they're doing right now, or what somebody says is going to happen in the future. I try to live a very balanced life. And the fact of the matter is to me, is that what the point I was trying to make in that argument, that it's impossible for America to call anybody terrorist when, using the Bible, they slaughtered tens of millions of Native Americans. Mm-hmm. Using the Bible, they enslaved, they captured in the most brutal way and transferred in the most brutal way our ancestors to impose on them the worst form of treatment known to humanity under the guise of the Bible. In fact, the first slave ship I believe, was named Jesus. All right, so under the guise of these God-fearing, Bible-thumping Christians, they unleashed the worst form of humanity against black people. So I question whether or not, and I've said it and I've written, that I believe that Christianity, as it is taught and how it is structured today, and Islam, how it's taught and it's structured today, Christianity has benefited white people more than black people, and Islam has benefited Arabs more than black people. So we need a ideology, a theology that's going to liberate us from the oppressions that any one people can put over us. And so I do believe there's a role for Christianity, there's a role for Islam, there's a role for religion. But that ain't what I'm talking about when we're going to figure out how we're going to fix the public schools. Mm-hmm. How we're going to create jobs. How we're going to fix our families. Reading the Bible or reading the Quran is just not going to do it, in my mind. And put it like this, it hasn't done it yet. We got to figure out what are the impediments for families to survive. What are the structures that are netting and pulling our young people into the prison system? And we got to figure out how to fix those systems. That's going to take the knowledge and the capacity and the skills of some of the leaders in our community to sit down with each other to understand actually what is actually going on so that we can be able to come up with a counter to it.
Well, we're going to encourage our listeners to tune in on this Friday at 3 o'clock because we're going to have to pick this conversation up, Rahim.
Unless Rahim want to stay an hour.
We're gonna have to pick this conversation.
Yeah, we can stay 20 hours. How about that?
Pick this conversation.
If it's going to help.
Conversation up on Monday because I think our community does need some clarity around this, especially because our black community is highly religious, and in some instances we know that our black clergy was very instrumental in the civil rights movement and making great strides, but that just like a tool, you can use a shovel to dig you out because you're stuck, or I can hit you over the head with it and kill you.
Right.
So we have to know the balance of using the tools that we have incorporated in our lives. We want to thank our listening audience. Rahim, do you want to give your regular shout out?
My regular shout out?
But it has to be short.
Well, again, I just want to thank everyone who supported us, Keon and Tony and everybody at WNOV, and also my main man, Mr. Jones. And also thank you, Bria, for your little feisty little something. But thank you so much for your support and your commitment to Universally Speaking. And I look forward to talking more about this leadership strategy and how we can bring our community together and create some leadership for our community, because our leadership is in trouble.
It is in trouble. We want to make sure, again, you follow the article at www.Milwaukee Courier Online. Pick it up at your local grocery store. Thank you so much. You were listening to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on WNOV 860 The Voice.